In the beginning of every twin flame journey, there is a moment, gentle or jarring, where two souls recognize each other beyond time, beyond form, beyond the veils of logic. It is a soul-to-soul remembrance, so deep and raw that it shatters every illusion we've built around love. For the divine feminine, this recognition often comes with an overwhelming pull. She sees the depth in her twin's eyes and remembers lifetimes. She feels his pain as her own. She begins to orbit around this connection, believing with all her heart that she has found her home. But what she doesn't realize at first is that the journey is not about the other. It is about her. The twin flame connection is the divine mirror, reflecting both light and shadow. And the deeper truth is that this path was never meant to lead her into someone else's arms. It was always meant to return her to herself. Yet, loving herself more than her twin flame is not something that comes naturally. This is where the real test begins. This is the ultimate initiation. It is the crucible through which the divine feminine is stripped of codependency, need, illusion, and attachment until only the purest love remains, one that is rooted not in longing, but in self-realization. In this video, we will explore this test deeply. What does it mean to love yourself more than your twin flame? Why is it the very doorway to union and not a rejection of it? How do you move through this test without losing faith or feeling abandoned by the divine? Let's walk this path together, one truth at a time. One of the greatest fears the divine feminine faces on this journey is the fear of loss. The fear that by pulling back, by choosing herself, she is somehow forfeiting the sacred connection. There's a haunting belief that if she chooses to love herself first, her twin will disappear. That love will die, that she will be punished by the universe for walking away. But the truth is, loving yourself more doesn't mean letting go of your twin flame. It means letting go of the illusion that you need them to be whole. It means letting go of the idea that they are the source of your joy, your purpose, your worth. The love between twin flames is eternal. It doesn't vanish because you turn inward. In fact, it deepens. It purifies. Attachment is not love. It's fear dressed in longing. It's the whisper that says, I need you to stay so I can feel okay. Love, on the other hand, says even if you walk away, I will still rise. I will still love. I will still be whole. This is not indifference. It is power. When the divine feminine clings to her twin as a lifeline, she unknowingly cuts herself off from her own divinity. Her energy becomes rooted in desperation instead of trust. She begins to chase, to please, to abandon herself in the hope of being chosen. But the soul doesn't thrive in such conditions. She came here to remember that she is the chosen one, not by her twin flame, but by her own heart. The test is to release the grip. Not because you don't care, but because you care so much about your own soul that you refuse to betray her anymore. This surrender isn't the end of the love story, it's the beginning of the real one. The one where you no longer live in fear of abandonment because you no longer abandon yourself. To move through this test, begin by gently observing your thoughts. Notice where they beg for validation. Notice where you place your power. Then shift. Call your energy back. Focus on nurturing yourself, not to get a response, but because your soul deserves it. That shift in focus begins to open the gates of liberation. The twin flame connection is the deepest mirror you will ever face. Every time he pulls away, disappears, or becomes emotionally distant, it stirs something ancient inside of you. Feelings of abandonment rise. Memories of rejection flood in. You begin to wonder if you're not enough, if you're doing something wrong, if you need to change to be loved. But what's really happening is this. Your twin is showing you exactly where you do not yet love yourself. His silence mirrors the parts of you that feel unseen. His emotional distance reflects the inner child who still longs to be chosen. His avoidance points to the parts of you that avoid your own pain. He is not punishing you. He is not testing you. He is mirroring you. This is why loving yourself more than your twin is such a radical act. It breaks the cycle. It pulls your energy out of the mirror and into your own hands. When you stop focusing on how he's showing up and start focusing on how you're showing up for yourself, everything shifts. You begin to speak to your own inner wounds with love instead of judgment. You hold your triggers with tenderness. You ask yourself, what do I need right now? Instead of wondering, why isn't here for me? You move from victim to healer. And here's the secret. As you heal those parts within, the mirror changes. Either your twin will begin to reflect your wholeness, or the universe will bring someone who does. But the reflection always meets your vibration. To walk this path, practice holding space for your own pain without running to your twin to fix it. Sit with the discomfort. Breathe through the ache. Let your own love be enough. In doing so, you stop using the connection to escape your wounds, and instead use your wounds to deepen your connection to the divine. Many divine feminines pour oceans of energy into their twin flame. They think of them constantly, worry for them, pray for them, love them with every fiber of their being. But when asked how they care for themselves, the room falls silent. There is a drought where there should be abundance. There is devotion turned outward, but neglect turned inward. This is the great imbalance. And this is the ultimate test to turn that devotion toward yourself. Loving yourself more than your twin is not selfish. It is sacred. It is the return to equilibrium. When you begin to treat yourself with the same gentleness, attention, and passion that you offer your twin, you begin to rewrite your destiny. This is where transformation truly begins. You start showing up for yourself every morning, checking in with your heart, honoring your needs, tending to your body and spirit. You begin to make choices that support your joy. You stop abandoning yourself in the name of love and start becoming love. This isn't about bubble baths and affirmations, though those have their place. It's about inner commitment. It's about learning how to be there for yourself when the loneliness rises. It's about creating a life that nourishes your soul even when your twin is distant or absent. Ask yourself, when was the last time you asked your own heart what it needed? When was the last time you treated yourself like someone worthy of reverence? Start there. Build a daily rhythm that prioritizes your healing, your passions, your peace. Create rituals that ground you, environments that reflect your inner beauty, relationships that uplift you. As you do this, your energy begins to shift. You stop vibrating from need and start radiating from wholeness. And from this place, everything changes, not because your twin changes, but because you finally remember who you are. You become magnetic, not for attention, but for authentic alignment. This is the power of the sacred inward turn. It is the moment you become the love you've been waiting for. One of the hardest parts of the twin flame journey is releasing the fantasy, the dream of a perfect union, a perfect moment, a perfect life shared. The story in your mind that says, when he comes back, then I'll be happy, then everything will fall into place. This illusion is intoxicating and painful. The divine feminine is often the dreamer, the believer, the one who sees the soul behind the ego. But sometimes, in that seeing, she loses her own clarity. She begins to love potential instead of presence. She holds on to a version of her twin that exists only in the spiritual realm, while ignoring the reality of how he shows up in the physical. This test asks you to let go of the illusion, not the love, but the fantasy. To stop waiting, to stop living in the future, to stop placing your joy in the hands of another soul's free will. Because as long as you do that, you remain stuck in longing. And longing is not love. It is the postponement of love. To love yourself more means to accept the truth of the present moment. To say, this is where he is, this is where I am, and I choose to honor where I am. It means facing the heartbreak, the disappointment, the unmet expectations, and choosing to rise anyway. Letting go of the fantasy is not about giving up. It's about growing up, spiritually. It's about recognizing that your path is sacred, even if it doesn't follow the script you wrote in your mind. It's about seeing that your twin's journey is their own, and you are not here to wait for them, fix them, or carry their burden. This liberation brings grief, but it also brings freedom. And in that freedom, you begin to find your true self, the self who is no longer tied to outcomes, who no longer needs a story to feel complete. You become rooted in presence, and from that presence, true love can finally blossom, not just with your twin, but with life itself. The divine feminine's path is often steeped in sacrifice. She gives without pause. She forgives without question. She waits, she prays, she believes. All of this comes from a sacred place, but when unbalanced, it becomes self-abandonment in disguise. And when the moment comes to choose herself, to walk away, to detach, to say no, she often trembles. Not because she lacks strength, but because she feels guilt. She wonders, am I being cold? Am I betraying him? Am I failing my mission? But choosing yourself is not a betrayal. It is a reclamation. This is the part of the journey where the divine feminine is asked to rise from the ashes of her own suppression, where she stops tying her worth to how much she endures and starts realizing that her worth simply is. Not because she is chosen, but because she exists. Not because she holds space for another, but because she finally holds space for herself. The guilt she feels is the voice of old programming. It is the conditioning of lifetimes spent serving others while forgetting herself. It is the inherited belief that love requires self-denial, that to be good, she must shrink. But this path is not about being good. It is about being true. Loving yourself more than your twin means making choices that honor your boundaries, even when it hurts. It means saying, I matter. My energy is sacred. My time is valuable. It means no longer settling for crumbs when you were born to feast at the table of wholeness. It's recognizing that your soul did not come here to be on hold. She came to embody her divinity fully, regardless of who stands beside her. To anchor into this truth, begin witnessing your inner dialogue. How often do you say yes when your heart says no? How often do you shrink your needs to avoid conflict? How often do you stay in situations that dim your light simply because you fear being alone? This is where you shift, not by force, but by truth. Stand in the mirror and speak to yourself with reverence. Set boundaries, not out of anger, but from deep self-love. Walk away when something dishonors you, not to punish your twin, but to protect your own flame. And when guilt rises, let it come. Let it move through you. But don't obey it. Sit with it, breathe through it, and gently remind yourself, choosing yourself is not wrong. It is the most sacred thing you can ever do. Many divine feminines, without realizing it, become caught in a cycle of chasing, not just physically, but energetically, emotionally, spiritually. She reaches out energetically, constantly thinking about her twin, checking signs, seeking answers, trying to shift the dynamic. Her days revolve around this connection, and slowly, her world becomes smaller. She stops dreaming for herself. She stops creating. She becomes a moon orbiting a sun that doesn't always shine back. But you were never meant to chase. You are the creator, not the chaser. This is the essence of feminine sovereignty, where you reclaim your creative power, your soul gifts, your vision. Where you stop shrinking your life down to fit someone else's readiness. Where you remember that you are not waiting for love to arrive, you are love arriving. When the divine feminine steps back into her power, she begins to redirect her energy. She pours her thoughts into her art. She plants seeds in her own garden. She no longer asks, when will he come, but instead asks, what do I want to create today? This is not a detachment of the heart. It is a redirection of the flame. This shift changes everything, because twin flame energy thrives not in obsession, but in expansion. When you rise, you call your counterpart to rise. When you stop chasing, the dynamic balances. And even if your twin doesn't return, you have returned to yourself. And that was the point all along. Ask yourself, what dreams have you shelved while waiting for union? What talents have you forgotten? What parts of your soul are starving while you feed this connection? Reignite those parts. Create again, dance again, lead again. Build your empire, not as a distraction, but as a devotion to your path. Let your energy speak. I am whole, and let the universe meet you in that vibration. This is sovereignty, not indifference, but alignment, not avoidance, but creation, not waiting, but living. At the core of every divine feminine's journey lies a single yearning, to be seen, understood, held. She wants her twin to meet her there, to witness her fully, to honor her soul the way she honors his. And in that longing, there is often deep pain, because she sees what could be, but not what is. But the truth is this: every quality she longs for in him is a call to embody it within herself. She wants to be chosen, so she must choose herself. She wants to be seen, so she must look into her own eyes with reverence. She wants to be held, so she must learn how to hold herself when no one else does. This is not bypassing the desire for connection, it's deepening the foundation for it. When the divine feminine becomes the love she has been waiting to receive, she no longer needs to beg, perform, or convince. Her energy becomes whole. She attracts relationships that mirror that wholeness. She moves from ache to embodiment. Becoming the beloved means making space for your own tenderness, holding your inner child when she cries, speaking words of encouragement when doubt rises, touching your own heart as you would touch another's, with care, with patience, with kindness. It means sitting with yourself in stillness and saying, I will never leave you again. And as you do this, something remarkable happens. The love you've been searching for reveals itself not in a partner, but in the air you breathe, in the way the sun kisses your skin, in the way your soul feels when you say no to what dishonors you and yes to what nourishes you. This is the highest form of love, not the love that waits, but the love that becomes, not the love that begs to be chosen, but the love that chooses herself again and again. When you become the beloved, you no longer live in lack. You no longer need to chase someone to feel complete. You simply are. And from that place, anything that enters your life will be a reflection, not a requirement. Loving yourself more than your twin flame is not the end of the journey. It is the turning point. It is the moment when the divine feminine sheds the last layers of illusion and emerges not as someone seeking love, but as someone who is love.